Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. In today's video, I'm going to talk about settling with a debt, well, not the debt collector, but settling with the original creditor. We are seeing, and this has been on the uptick, a lot of the original creditors are starting to, and this is also with credit card companies, they are starting to hire debt collection lawyers and suing for the debt. So they're maintaining the ownership of the debt and having lawyers file lawsuits for that debt. Now, watch my other videos about your rights, about what you could do when a third-party debt collector is trying to collect the debt. You have rights. There's stuff that they have to prove. And I also talk about in the video about how you can respond to either third-party debt collectors who buy your debt or the original creditor who buys your debt, and and what you could do to either win that case or to get into a settlement situation. Now, this is one particularly from a question that an individual asked me that we did a response to the original creditor. And whenever we do responses for clients with the original creditor, we say, unless you can prove certain problems with your account, it's going to end up being in a settlement, going into settlement. But the reason why it's always good to respond, well, number one, you're required to respond to a court summons. Unless you're going to get ahead of the game and try to do a settlement, you have to respond to that court summons, or you're going to be disregarding, what the court requested you to do, which is to respond to that complaint from that debt collector or from the original creditor, from the plaintiff. So you always want to have that response. And you never know what could happen is that the original creditor may not respond appropriately through their attorney and they decide not to proceed with the case. There could be some issues that you were not aware of, but this individual had a good question, and I wanted to clarify it. I clarified it with him, and I want to clarify it with you just in case I've stated it in other videos and I wasn't clear. When dealing with the original creditor, there comes to be a situation of this back and forth. And I get a lot of people who will say, well, I want to have it deleted. I want to pay and have it deleted. And they're not. This is something that's done with debt collectors. But if it's with the original creditor, an original creditor is not going to do a pay for delete. I don't care what video you've seen out there, the original creditor, unless it's like a company, like one of my companies where someone comes to us and we say, well, we'll take it off of your credit if you, pay the amount. The original creditor is just going to mark it paid in full or paid for less if it's went through the charge-off process. But I want to go kind of step by step with the mindset, the thinking, because when I had responded to him, he was like, I don't understand. What do you mean? I don't understand what you're saying. So this is my response, and then I'm going to kind of put it out here. I'd say, good morning. When negotiating with attorneys for the plaintiff, they will always think you're hiding money. And then they will believe that you're lying and don't want to pay. This is their thought process. Don't just think about what you want to have done. Also, you got to win at this game, you got to think about what they could potentially be thinking about. And because I've been in this for years, I know what they're thinking. And because also when we negotiate and talk with these attorneys, they're speaking for their client, and some of the times we get good working relationships with them, and we know they'll say certain things, and we kind of understand that they believe that someone is lying. Now, the way that they can believe that you're lying, I'll get into that when we get to the board here. They have the option to get a judgment and make you pay all of the money by using bank levies or employment garnishment options. So negotiating to pay less money than they believe they are owed. So when I wrote this kind of weird here. So negotiating to pay them less money than they believe they're owed for them to go down, they will focus on two things: how much of a discount and why. And if you said that you'd like to settle for 25% on the dollar, 25 cents on the dollar, they will ask why. And you can't just say because I want to. You can't just say because I can't afford to. They'll hear that, but they won't. They will say, why should we justify a 75% discount on what you owe us? The way they justify is requiring you to show documents to prove you cannot pay the entire amount. They will ask for your assets, bank account information. They will look at other stuff you are paying on. And if they believe you are lying, they won't make a deal. And then I went into why people use our services is because we become a buffer in between dealing with the plaintiff and the debt collection company and keeping you off to the side, because they will request certain documents and those documents may not work in your favor. But you don't know your options. I won't say rights, because this is technically not something that they have to allow you to do. If they request documents, people may not think that they have a right not to produce those documents, and the reasons why they don't have to produce those documents. But if you don't produce the documents, you have to look at another path for settling that account. So that's what we're going to go into here. So this is your thinking, let me go back to my other screen here, is that this is a debt collector collecting the debt for the original creditor. And so like I said, what they're thinking is that you're hiding money. They're going to always think that you're hiding money, that you don't want to pay them. That's like like you have a focus on not paying the debt, the FDCPA, you know, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you're looking for violations. Like, that's your mindset, that's your thought process. Their mindset and thought process that you're hiding money, you don't want to pay. They're thinking that you're just lying. Like, hey, we done heard it from other people. They're just lying. This person is just lying. So their goal is they want to get the money. They want to do a judgment. They had an option of doing a garnishment. They have an option of doing a bank levy. Right now, I'm seeing about a 50-50 split. It used to be if you only lived in a state that did garnishments, that allowed wage garnishments, they just focus on doing wage garnishments. And then in the states that don't have wage garnishments, we would see that they would focus on bank levy. What we're starting to see now is that it doesn't matter. It just depends on what the plaintiff wants to do or what the debt collection company wants to do once they get the judgment, is that a lot of them are starting to now focus on the bank levy. The reason why is because they could just take a document to the courthouse, and the way that they want to see that if you're lying and if you're hiding money, they look at your credit reports. Now, I spoke to a gentleman on the phone and I said, if they look at your credit reports, is there anything that they would believe that you are lying about the money that you have? And the gentleman said, no, they would not believe that I'm lying. I'm just paying on my car. I'm just paying my mortgage. And I have a couple of cards that I still pay on. I'm going to say that again to you. The gentleman said, no, they would not believe that I'm hiding money. I'm paying my cars, mortgage, and a couple of credit cards. What do you pay your car, your mortgage, and a couple of credit cards with? You pay that with money. They don't care if they take this money away from those debts. They just want to get paid their money. So I want to make it clear to everyone that is listening. Everyone that is listening, understand this. If you are paying money to anybody, a debt collector will believe that you're lying. And the way that they look at it to find that out is they look at your credit reports. They're tracing programs that the TransUnion Equifax Experian has, and they give these companies access. They already can put stuff on your credit reports, but those tracing programs will actually do more about the bills that you're paying. And then just think about this. If you're self-reporting different apps, different things that you're paying on to try to build up your credit, what do you think that they're going to think? They're going to think that you're lying. They're going to think that you're hiding money. So don't just think like I understand the gentleman's thinking is that he's like, no, I'm not lying. Well, they don't go off of your word. They go off of data. And if they look at the data and they believe that you're lying, then you need to start getting yourself lined up to, number one, defend yourself and put yourself in a position and make a real decision about where you want to be at. Because some people, and I've went through this, so I'm not here preaching like saying something that I haven't went through before. At some point, you're going to have to make that decision on what is your goal. And sometimes to get to that goal, you're going to have to pay that debt. Now, what I want to do is put you in the best position to be able to pay is the smallest amount, have the smallest amount of harm come to you when you end up going down that route. So we know that these are their options here. So let's look at this. So you want to settle the debt, your thoughts versus their thinking. You want to settle for less, and they're going to say, why should we? You're going to say, I want to have this information deleted off my reports, and they're going to say, why should we? Like a lot of, for some reason, I don't know if it's just because all of the different videos, all of the different things that people have seen out there, and they have a feeling that it's true until they apply it, and then they start running into that brick wall that's like, what this information that this individual gave me, that's not true. Not to say that all the other stuff that's out there, that it's not true, but I think what it is that it could be true applied to certain situations. So one of the things that you, just like I said earlier, an original creditor is not going to delete the information off your credit report. So you can already X this one off if you're dealing with the original creditor. If you're dealing with a debt collector who had the information on the credit report, yes, they'll do it. But there's still some type of question that's going to need to be answered. And I'm going to get into that in a second. Now, settle for less. Why should we settle for less? And that gets into what we're going to talk about right here. Like if there's a bottom line to what I see when dealing with plaintiff accounts, especially when dealing with collectors who are collecting for the original creditor. They will do this. So think about it this way. This is, let's just say it's you. You're negotiating with the debt collector that's taking the information to the original creditor. Every time that you make an offer, it must be, it could be automatically turned down because the debt collection company, the service, or the attorney, they were told by the original creditor, if you get anything below this, automatically deny it. But they still have to give that to you in writing, but they'll say it's automatically denied. Our client, they said that they wouldn't take something that low. But the plaintiff attorney is still required to get that information to them and then give it back to you that it was denied. They have to do that. Some of the times they'll try not to do that, but they have to do that. That is a requirement because they represent the client. They are not the client, but they don't want you to know that. Now when you present stuff and you're trying to go lower than that amount, and you go back and forth. That's why we tell people, like, sometimes people come and they think that it's just like one phone call. Some of these times it could take months of back and forth. And then if they're trying to sue you, what we try to do is to get that court date pushed back, saying that we're in communication and we're trying to resolve this situation. And they don't like to go to court And obviously the clients don't like to go to court. So that's why it's very important, but it takes a lot of back and forth. So now this is their thinking. And that what that gentleman had asked me in that email, I said that the lower you go, you're going to get into a level of what they call doc. And what they want with the docs, I got no doc here. So we got docs. What I mean by docs is that they're going to say, okay, you want to settle for less. Why should we? And what they're going to do is they're going to take it up a notch, and they're going to say, well, we want you to fill out these docs. We have a young lady that we're working on a settlement right now, owes $54,000. We're trying to put together a package to settle this debt. She wanted it to be at the $10,000 range, and soon as that was pushed out to them, and I mean, thank God that she was with us, because she could have made a huge mistake. Because with that low amount, what they came back to us and said, first they denied it, we kept going back and forth, raised it a little bit, and then they came back and they said, okay, why should we, they were saying that from the beginning, but then they came back and said the docs. So when we kept asking and got the denial from their plaintiff, which is a direct lender, and they came back with, okay, we would settle it for that, or we would think about it, but we want her to fill out the docs. So what was on the docs? On the docs, let me tell you what they had on the docs. They wanted to know assets, bank accounts, properties, business, employment, married, it was even some more stuff, retirement. Even though they can't even touch certain things, they do this because they're trying to look at the mindset of that individual. See, you're thinking like, even with the docs, yeah, they want the docs to see what you got, to see if you're lying. But another thing that they could do with the docs, they could see this is an individual who is taking care of their situation. This is a smart person. They got money. They're hiding money. They know how to hide money. So that's what they look at. So we ended up having our discussion with our client, and we said, we're going to send over the docs, because she was like, hey, send them over. I'll fill them out. When she started to look at that, then she came back and said, wait, I don't want to fill out all that stuff. I don't want to fill out, because if you fill out all that stuff, you are really putting yourself, making yourself a target for whatever you got for them. We always tell people, and I've went through this myself personally, is that you want to get to a situation to where you can have the no doc. And the way that we negotiate this is that there's going to be a percentage scale. And that's why I said the only way that this is going to resolve itself is that you got to come to a realization in your own mind on what you want. Because if the money, don't worry about the money that you're going to have to pay to get out of this. You got the money at the beginning, and now you got to pay your way out of it. You got to bargain your way out of it, negotiate your way out of it. You're going to have to pay some money, bottom line, to get out of it. And it's not going to be the amount of money that you got. But you got to get it in your mind, where do you want to be? Because you're going to be able to make that money back that you're going to have to deal with this. But if you want to get to where you want to be, then there's going to be a process. And this is what we do. It's very difficult to do this on your own. Very difficult to do this on your own, because they're going to always constantly wonder why. Everything you do, they're going to wonder why. Why don't you just fill that out? Or why don't we just go behind your back and get the judgment and get all the money? And plus some additional fees. So what we do is we do this walk up. So we say, okay, 15%. No doc or doc. So they might say doc. Okay, so we go 25%. They might say doc. Okay, we say 50%. They might say, well, let us follow up. And we say, this is going to be no doc. They take that to their client, come back. Okay, 55%. And they come back, okay, we'll do 55% of the original amount with no docs. And that's what that would be an excellent resolution for the individual, because they did not have to pay 100% of the money back. And with the company, they're not going to have to proceed and go to court. They're going to have a resolution came through for their client, which is the original creditor. Now, I could tell you something else with this. You're not going to do this with payments. This is going to be a situation where you're going to have to come up with money and do a one-time lump sum payment. Because if you think about it, okay, what is their thinking? If we have to wait, why don't we just wait and get it all? If we have to wait, why don't we just wait and get it all? Not to say that we won't try to work those types of situations out. Not to say that you shouldn't try to work those situations out. I'm just telling you their thinking. If you say, okay, well, I want to get paid 55%, so 55% on the dollar, what is our incentive and why should we do that for you if we got to wait? We could just wait and get all the money. We could just wait and garnish your bank account, once or twice a month, and take, and probably be done with this depending on your income. And the way that we found your income, we could just wait, because the way that we found your income is, number one, by your credit reports. We know where you work. We know what bills you're paying on. We know how much your mortgage is. We know about that neighborhood. We know about all of that stuff. So why should we wait when we could just go ahead and go through with the court case, get the judgment, and then now we can either do the bank levy and the wage garnishment. So that's what you got to watch out for. All right, I just wanted to clarify that. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes us different, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com, grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports, and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters: statute of limitations, debt validation, cease and desist collection activities letter, so you can stop debt collectors early. If you have debt collectors suing you in court, even if the original creditor is suing you in court, we can help you with your response. We can help you if it gets to a settlement phase. We have a service for that also, and we're always up front with you 100%. You will know everything throughout the process. Links are below this video. Thank you for your time. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com.